If you spend 4 or 5 hours every single day just surviving a chaotic, exhausting journey, feeling completely drained before your real work even begins, you need to hear this story if you feel like you are putting in endless years of grueling effort, fighting for growth that never seems to come, and constantly worrying about things you cannot control. You are fighting a river that is drowning you. Listen closely to the story of the ferryman and learn the ancient secret of surrender. Long ago, in a valley split by a massive, violently churning river, lived a young merchant named Silas. Silas was incredibly hardworking, but he was drowning in chronic stress. Every single day, his survival depended on rowing a heavy wooden boat loaded with precious cargo across the treacherous Blackwater River to reach the grand market on the other side. The currents were brutal, unpredictable, and dangerous. Silas believed that success required absolute control. He would grip his wooden oars with white knuckles, his muscles screaming in agony, fighting directly against the powerful currents to force his boat in a straight line. By the time he reached the market, he was completely physically and mentally destroyed. He had no energy left to sell his goods, no patience for his customers, and no joy in his heart. He spent his nights lying awake, staring at the ceiling. Consumed by anxiety about the next day's weather, the speed of the water, and the possibility of losing everything, he was aging twice as fast as he should have been. One bitterly cold, foggy morning, Silas arrived at the docks feeling like he couldn't go on. His hands were blistered, his spirit was broken, and he was on the verge of giving up his trade entirely. As he prepared his boat, he noticed an old man loading a much smaller, fragile-looking skiff next to him. This was Master Lin, an ancient ferryman who had been crossing the Blackwater River for over 50 years. Despite his advanced age, Master Lin's face was completely unlined by stress. His eyes were clear, his breathing was calm, and he moved with a slow, deliberate grace. Silas watched in disbelief as the old man pushed his small boat into the violent, swirling rapids. "Master Lin," Silas shouted over the roar of the water, "how do you do it? How have you survived this agonizing journey every single day for 50 years without the river destroying you? I am young and strong, yet this daily crossing is breaking my mind and my body." The old ferryman paused, resting his hands lightly on his oars. He looked at Silas with a gentle, knowing smile. "Come with me today, Silas. Leave your cargo, sit in my boat, and I will show you why you are so tired." Hesitantly, Silas tied his boat to the dock and stepped into the old man's skiff. As soon as they drifted away from the safety of the shore, a massive cross-current caught them. Silas braced himself, expecting the old man to row furiously, to fight the water with everything he had. Instead, Master Lin did almost nothing. He didn't tense his shoulders. He didn't grip the oars in a panic. With it. The boat glided smoothly, using the river's own chaotic energy to propel them forward. "You see, my young friend," Master Lin spoke softly, his voice perfectly calm despite the roaring rapids around them. "You look at this river and you see an enemy that must be conquered. You spend all your strength trying to force the water to obey your will. You try to control the current, the wind, and the storm. But you cannot control the river. The river will do what the river will do. The harder you fight reality, the more exhausted you become. Your suffering does not come from the river. Your suffering comes from your demand that the river be still. It comes from your illusion that if you just worry enough or push hard enough against the things you cannot control, you will somehow find peace." Silas watched in awe. They were moving faster than he ever had, yet the old man was barely sweating. "Then what am I supposed to do?" Silas asked, his voice trembling. "Am I supposed to just give up and let the water smash me against the rocks? If I don't fight, I will lose everything." Master Lin shook his head gently. "Surrender is not giving up, Silas. Surrender is the ultimate wisdom. It is accepting what is entirely outside of your boat, so you can focus entirely on what is inside it. I cannot command the wind, so I do not waste a single ounce of my energy worrying about it. I cannot stop the current, so I do not fight it. I simply feel where the water is going, and I adjust my oars. I surrender to the reality of the river, which frees my mind to respond perfectly to the present moment." Silas sat in silence as the boat gently touched the opposite shore. He looked back at the violent, chaotic water they had just crossed. For years, he had been trying to row against the entire weight of the Blackwater River. He had carried the burden of the weather, the current, and the future on his own shoulders. He realized that true strength wasn't about enforcing your will upon the world. True strength was the quiet flexibility to navigate whatever the world gave you. The next morning, Silas returned to his own boat. When the strong currents hit him, he didn't tense up. He took a deep breath, loosened his grip, and let the river do the heavy lifting. He angled his oars, working with the water instead of against it. When he arrived at the market, he was not exhausted. For the first time in years, he smiled. In your own life, you are surrounded by rivers you cannot control. You cannot control the traffic, the economy, the actions of other people, or the passage of time. If you spend your days fighting these currents, you will drown in anxiety and exhaustion. Stop fighting the river. Focus only on the oars in your own hands. Let go of the illusion of control, and you will finally find your peace. If you are ready to stop fighting and start living, subscribe to Deep Tales Vault. We will see you in the next story.